What's going on, guys? It's Artemy again in Basilisk Craig's server. It's my alt, it's Archer, level 45. Gonna show you how to solo NM today. Um, my equipment, basically, I got my Swift crystals on my weapon. I have the weapon from the instance already, which I enchanted to +6, and I double stack attack speed. On the armor side, using Inspiring Crystal, which no one seems to like too much, but I like it because when you're soloing and you get knocked down, what's the first thing you want to do? Regen HP, and it does that about 50% of the time, which is nice. The rest are Vigorous Crystals. Charms, I got a Power Charm, Enduring Charm, and Vigorous Charm, again for the healing purposes, since I don't have a healer, gotta get health somewhere. And I got my Campfire's User Charms, and I got my Teleport Scrolls because it's kind of a pain to get to this instance, so that's the easiest way to get here. The other crystal I started using now is a Fleetfoot crystal. That'll get me past all the mobs quick so that I can go, hopefully not get hit by them and then go feign death in the corner somewhere. So I put that on before I get started, and then let's do it. So you run by these guys. There's only a few mobs, so this part's pretty easy. You'll be well out of range by the time you feign death right there. And then you want to take this wraith out first. There's two stationary wraiths in this room. You have to take them both out. Otherwise, you can't get access to the next boss. So with this guy, just do your high damage attacks. Keep your MP up because you're going to have to fight at right after this. So just basically as much damage as you can while retaining your MP. I like to stack poison arrow always just because it's kind of like free damage for me. Okay, he's dead. Now you got to take out these other two wraiths here. Somehow I managed to trigger the minions. I didn't think I did, but I guess I did. So now I got to deal with everything. To deal with them, what I do is traps like you saw there. And then I try and do a breakaway bolt, which sets up a penetrating arrow, and then I let it go. And then I managed to trigger the other minions, so I just created a whole bunch of problems for myself. It's not too big a deal, like unless you get hit by the wraiths a bunch and knocked down, or you only get in trouble, but other than that, it just means you got to kite more, which kind of, just takes longer in the instance, that's all. So make sure you take out those minions first before you work on the wraiths. You don't need to worry about that stationary one right there. Just don't get close to him because, the lightning that's flashing around will actually hurt you and kind of get you stuck there for a little bit. But that's why you see me just kind of doing laps around the room until I take out all the minions. Alright, fighting these wraiths, what I do, um, as much penetrating arrows as I can just to, damage both of them. I try and do a little close range attack there to stun them and then throw down a trap, again, just to try and get more damage on both of them. One thing to note, you can go the back way to some of these bosses. Like this is kind of the front way, I would say. You can go the back way, but it's pretty hard. You gotta. I was only able to do it once. Most of the time, it ends up with you aggroing all the mobs and then, dying, and then, setting up the mobs in a bad place to where you can't even try it again. So, I just go this way. You got to take these guys out, but it's worth the hassle. And you get, sometimes you get some good gold drops, so you can get some money that way. All right, the other stationary wraith, same as the first one. Just do your high damage attacks, while again regenerating your mana and keeping it high, so you don't have to wait on that. You notice I get a little bit of hit points back every skill I use, so it's a good opportunity for me to get some healing too. Alright, make sure that Fleetfoot crystal's on there. Run by all these mobs. And there's not many of them, so it's not too bad. Just go right here in the corner, feign death, and now you're free of all them. So it's time to charm up and get ready for that next boss. Here's the glyphs I used. I got rid of the movement restrictions on penetrating and radiant arrow. Lessen the cooldown times on backstep and breakaway bolt, and increase the duration of my poison arrow, and also made it so that it increases the charging speed of my radiant arrow after I use it. Since that's a pretty big combo, that's what I use a lot since I'm keeping poison arrow stacked all the time if I can help it. Alright, I'm getting charmed up, getting ready for the boss fight. Alright, here we go. This boss, all his attacks seem to be frontal based, so the best strategy I found with him is just to move around him. Just rotate, kind of do circles around him. Right after he uses an attack, that's a great time to throw a poison arrow on him because he's kind of stuck in animation, and poison arrow is kind of a longer animation, so it'll give you time to kind of, get your poison arrow stacked up on him. But you got to be careful because I really wouldn't use poison arrow any other time but that, just because he attacks pretty quick and he can knock you down and do a lot of damage. You saw the spikes come up. Pretty self-explanatory. Don't stand over the spikes when they come up. It's actually a really good opportunity for you to do, get your poison arrow stacked back up again, or just do some more higher damage attacks. But one thing to note, that when he does come out of the area with the spikes, he attacks pretty quick, so you're going to dodge real fast. You'll notice that's how I did it right there. It's faster than it is, when you're just kind of rotating around him, it seems like, to me at least. The best way I found to dodge is kind of just, do a quick 180 and just go right back through him. Since it's all frontal attacks, that way you don't leave yourself vulnerable to like getting hit on the side or some lag or something like that. You just go right back through him, you get behind him real quick. So this guy seems to take the longest for the bosses in the instance, just because you can't do a whole lot of damage to him except for poison arrow. You can't really get much radiant arrows on him. It's just poison arrow and regular attacks, and so that can take a while. I don't bother with much close range stuns or traps on this guy, just because it takes so much time to set those up, and he attacks really fast, and it just didn't seem worth it to me. So I just stick with the basics on this one. Okay, yeah, he's doing a lot of spike things. What you want, basically, you want him to do the spike things as much as possible, because that's when you can really hit him for some damage. So try and keep your poison arrow stacked up. You'll notice as the fight goes on, I kind of get a little bolder and try and do a few more things that I probably shouldn't have, and my HP is getting low. So that's when make sure you bring your healing elixirs and use those when you can. You always want to try and have a decent amount of hit points, just in case you get knocked down and get hit by a couple of his attacks. You can at least survive those. If you get hit by too many attacks, it's going to be tough to survive through it. So that's why I try and keep my hit points at least above 50%. And you'll see if you can see at the bottom, I know it's kind of small, but I have two different types of healing potions. One I use like an emergency, it heals me a lot more. It's kind of more expensive to make or buy. The other one's a bit cheaper, so I use that one kind of if I just need a little bit of hit point regen. Okay, he's down. All the loot's mine. Let's run past the next set of mobs here to the next boss. This first part's pretty straightforward. You just run through it. It's not too bad. This is where it gets tricky, because you can get hit by this mage right here, which knocked me down, and then all of a sudden everyone catches up to you, which can kind of create a little bit of stress. So luckily I was able to stay farther away from him. I ran to the corner here. You don't want to go too close to the boss, because then if you pop up, he's going to aggro you right away, and you won't have time to charm up. So just come over, feign death, charm up, and get started on this guy. Okay, there's the first attack. It's a pretty common one he does when you're at range. He shoots a little, diseased fireball at you or something, which can get you like a poison dot, but it doesn't seem to do a whole lot of damage, and it's really easy to sidestep. When he does shoot it, it's a great time to throw a poison arrow on him, because it's a slower attack, so that's a good time to do that. That's another attack he does where he goes through the floor. With that one, again, it's pretty easy to dodge too. The catch to that is just don't be too close to where he comes up. You may think you're not in range, but you actually are, and he can damage you for a lot, and you'll be knocked down, and then you're at close range when you're knocked down, and he can do some more close range moves that hurt you. Alright, he's going to summon just one minion. You want to make sure you take it down, because he'll summon another one, then you have two to deal with. Minion's not bad, but the thing is, his attacks knock you down almost every time, and even though you think you're kind of out of range, like I thought I was right there, it knocks you down. So you got to stay kind of far away from him. The boss will damage him if he hits the minion, which is nice. But I wouldn't try and set that up. I wouldn't spend too much time trying to set that up. That's kind of a bonus if it happens, but not something to focus on too much. So try and take the minion out as fast as you can. I like to double stack poison arrow, like I'll stack it on the minion and the boss, and that way, I'm at least doing damage to both of them, and then I'll try and focus the rest of my damage attacks on the minion while keeping up my poison arrow on the boss, if I can. And you can't always do that, but you'll see. I managed to trigger those minions I ran past. I guess I got too close. I just deal with them the same way I do with all the minions, which is kite them around, line them up, throw down a trap, do breakaway bolt, and then penetrate arrow. And that way you can get a lot of damage on all of them. I don't really use arrow volley too much because it kind of leaves me vulnerable and it doesn't seem to do enough damage to be worth it. So you summon another minion. You'll see, again, I get knocked down by him. He's got a lot of range, that guy, so you got to be real careful of him. Another attack he does, he kind of just walks or moseys towards you. He doesn't follow you, though. He just kind of walks towards you. So that's another easy one to dodge. And, you know, you can do a little close quarters attack like I did there, stun him, put down a trap, and then jump back and, you know, do my little rotation as well. So it's a good opportunity to do that. That's about the one charge he does right there, where he gets real low and then charges at you. I have it sped up, obviously, so you know you're not watching a 45-minute video or whatever it is, but you do have a lot of time to dodge that. It's not too bad. You probably don't even have to use backstep to dodge it. You can just run to the side of it. So, in fact, all his attacks are really slow, so he's pretty easy to dodge. The only thing that kind of throws a little kink in it is this minion guy. I try and keep him and the boss in view if I can set it up, and there the boss actually killed him for me, which was nice. But that's about the only kink. The rest is just, you know, keep your poison arrow stacked. You'll have time to throw in radiant arrows on this guy, no problem. There's my close quarters trap, breakaway bolt, poison arrow, and radiant arrow. If you can see it, you know, it's kind of fast, but that's my rotation, and it seems to do a lot of damage and keeps my poison arrow stacked as well. So you'll also probably be able to put Velik's mark on him. You'll see I got that. Just because he's so slow, you'll actually have time to do all that stuff. So. Alright, he seems to be getting low on hit points now, so he's kind of taking breaks here and there, which helps me out, because that means I can throw more damage at him. Unfortunately, he's summoned another minion, so I got to deal with that now too. So you see, try and throw down my traps, keep them both in view, try and keep poison arrow on the minion if I can, just because it'll take him down faster. And the minion will actually help you trigger traps sometimes too, which is nice. So, because then they'll hit the boss. There's his charge. Again, you can see I was able to actually charge up Radiant Arrow while I dodged it because it's so slow. So that's an easy one to keep yourself out of. Yeah, if he keeps doing that little green fireball, that actually is really easy. So you hope he keeps doing that, and he seems to do it if you stay at range. So that's a good thing. There's my close quarters attack, stunned him, and he's dead. Nice and easy. He's a pretty easy boss, but not as easy as the next one. So put that fleet foot on, run by all these minions. Just one simple hallway, go over to the teleport here, and then feign death, and they're all gone. This time I will try not to trigger them. Okay, this guy, let's see, some of his attacks. Same strategy, poison arrow is always up. You'll notice right there it had a little magenta circle on me, and he jumped at me. He does that. And he just jumps like that, but it's really slow. And you can dodge it super easy, and even if you get hit by it, it's not too bad. So, and he jumps straight ahead, so that makes it even easier to dodge. Like he doesn't rotate and follow you. The other attack he does is he puts a red circle on the ground. You have a good amount of time to get out of it. If you don't think you're going to make it, just backstep out of it. But if you can help it, kind of backstep to the side so that way you're in range to keep damaging him. See, like I did right there. The other attack he does is he does a little fire shoot out of his mount there. That's a pretty easy one to dodge too. In general, I just never stay in front of him, like directly in front of him, so that way I never have to worry about that attack. He does a diagonal jump there. If you're at a decent range from him, usually he kind of diagonals around you. If you get hit by it, doesn't seem to do a whole lot of damage, but still, try and avoid it if you can. And you see how easy it is for me to dodge these things. I'm actually able to charge up my Radiant Arrow while I'm dodging things, which, you know, you can do a lot of damage to this boss. You notice I have Velik's Mark and Poison Arrow stacked on him, just because I have enough time to do it. Most bosses, when you fight, you're dodging so much you don't have enough time to stack all those things, but this guy, easy. Okay, he's enraged now. When he's enraged, he's still slow enough to dodge most of his things, so I don't really need to kite him around too much. But if you're having trouble, if find yourself getting hit a lot, some of his attacks do enough damage. So when he is enraged, if you find yourself getting trouble, getting damaged a lot, just stick with the basics. Keep your poison arrows stacked up and just do regular arrow attacks until he calms down a bit. But for the most part, he's really slow. You don't even have to get close to him. I mean, if you get close to him, he'll do his close range attacks, which are also slow. But I try and stay away, just so I can do more damage anyway. So he's starting to get low on hit points. There you see my normal combo that I normally do. Close quarters stun, incendiary trap, breakaway bolt, poison arrow, and then radiant arrow. Yeah, he does also have his sword into the ground, which creates like a little toxic area. Since you're not close range, that's not going to bother you too much, but just try and avoid it when you're kiting him around. I don't think it does a whole lot of damage, but it's just something to try and avoid if you can. All right, he's down. The loot's all yours, which is sweet. Now on to the next boss. I can't beat this guy actually. So what I'm going to do is just show you kind of a tactic I was trying. It seemed to work pretty well, like not in this video, but another time I tried it, I was able to get him down to 50%. What that tactic is basically you see me just running side to side, staying really close to him. Because he seems to do attacks only right in front of him, and I felt that if I went from side to side, it kind of slowed him up and I was able to get out of range while also triggering his attacks. The thing that would screw it up is he'd always jump on me. Then that's where I just couldn't recover from those kind of things. If you stay at ranged, I'll kind of show you a little bit of that later while I'm fighting him. He does enough attacks to where it seems to be worse to stay at range. So again, I couldn't beat him. I just couldn't stay ahead of him. I don't know why. I got him down to 50%. And then when he got enraged, that's when it was kind of over because his attacks are pretty fast. He has, he has some attacks that are pretty easy to dodge, but that one where he jumps and swipes, it's tough to get out of the way because he jumps right on you, and I can't really find a way to dodge it in time. Okay, see now I'm staying at a kind of a ranged area now. It hasn't been too bad this time, but then he jumps on me right there, and then he does a little, shoots a fireball at me, and then I'm dead. So he jumped on me twice. So yeah, it's kind of, I can't get that part down, but anyway, at least you can see how to solo all the rest of the bosses. I didn't do this one too much. I didn't find the XP quite as good as some of the other instances, and the loot drops don't sell for much on my server. So anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned.